Hi. Can I start off by asking you, how do you feel about this building being named after your father?
I think it's wonderful. We want it to be something that's relevant, and because he spent the second half of his life in Maidenhead, it's great that it's somewhere close to Maidenhead. Also, he had a very strong feeling towards helping children. So when Walter asked, would it be possible, it seemed to be a good connection. And we're very cautious about who we want Pa's name to be associated with, because it's very easy to lose control and then it becomes meaningless. I mean, he said when he was given an award, I'll pin it on my pyjamas for the night and then I'll put it in a drawer and I won't look at it again. I think the thing that's most significant for me is that he didn't wait for the government or the local authority or anybody to do something. If he felt something needed doing, he'd organise people and do it himself. One example is the kinder transport, which he's best known for, where he saw that there was a need and then put a team together and helped to get the children out of the country. So for me, the greatest lesson from my father is, if you see something that's not right, say, what can I do about it? The world isn't full of somebody else's.
So what was your favourite childhood memory with him?
My favourite memory is Sunday lunches, because he had a great interest in world affairs, in current affairs, in business, in politics. And Sunday lunch was always an opportunity for him to talk about something going on in the world, and for him to treat us just, like anybody else. We would have a long conversation about something. I would learn a huge amount. Mostly I'd learn how little I knew about a whole range of topics, and he taught me through that to think for myself. One of the things that he encouraged me to do was to read newspapers and ignore all the opinion and look at the facts, and then make my own mind up. And as I've got older, I've noticed that I've started to sound a bit more like him, that I complain that the newspapers have fewer and fewer facts and more opinions, and that it's harder to actually find the truth to make my own decisions rather than have somebody tell me what I ought to be thinking. When the children came over in '39, they just went off to camps or to homes or to schools, and he never saw them again. And suddenly, 50 years later, he had a whole reintroduction to people who, for them, he was their father. He was their connection with their past. And I think it was wonderful to see him meet all these new people who were very fond of him. He became incredibly fond of a number of them. There was always a question over, when he was asked why did he keep it secret. And he said, well, I didn't keep it secret, I just didn't talk about it. Which is kind of interesting that people assume that because you don't talk about something, you're keeping it secret. He was, introduced back to some of the children on the Yes to Ransom programme. So it's hard for me to think, what did I think about it? It was just part of the family landscape, And it didn't really mean anything to me until all those people stood up in the TV studio. And then I suddenly thought, grief, look at all these people. And all those people were there because of the work that he did. And that's when I started to think, wow, that's amazing. Because you hear today, you hear the stories about the refugees in Syria or wherever. You think, millions of people. I can't get my head around millions. I mean, millions is such a big number, it doesn't mean anything. And then you think, well, 669 children that he saved, that's a big number. But he felt that wasn't enough. But for each person that he saved, that's a whole life. And you think, well, if you save one person, is that worth it? Well, to the one person it is. It's the human scale that it starts to make an impact on me. So for me, I think as I sort of assimilated, I processed it. It's that each life is so amazing. Each life is so precious. And not to think about the millions and millions, because I can't register millions. So when you just take it as one and then scale it up, then it starts to make an impact for me. His biggest regret about the whole programme was that the biggest train that he organised for 250 children was loaded and sitting at the station in Prague when Britain declared war against Germany and the borders were closed and the train didn't leave. When he talks about his work, he talks more about that last train. It would have been another 250 people. Neither my father or I are particularly interested in whether you remember him. The example of what he did shows you that if there's something that you need to do, it's amazing how you can get people to do it with you. If you feel something really important needs to be done, you can use your powers of influence, you can recruit people to your cause, you can get people involved, and you can change the world. I mean, it really is amazing what you can accomplish if you really believe it's important. If you do it with the passion and the enthusiasm and the determination, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I think that's the lesson and why it's so valuable to use his name. But to remember him, I'm sure there are much more important people that you could remember. What would be fantastic is to help the students recognise the power that they have to change the world.